Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Suit Yourself podcast, part of the Finish First Media Productions team. My name is Austin. I'm co-host number one, joined tonight by co-host number two.
Co-host number two, my name is Brandon.
Hello, Brandon. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
I don't really have a good question for Brandon today.
That's all right.
As is standard, so we're just going to go ahead and bypass. I just got done playing soccer for an hour and a half, so I'm a little bit tired.
How was it?
It was great. It's always nice to get out there and move the body. I also lifted weights today, so I'm just a little tired.
Ooh, sounds good.
It was excellent. Thank you. Thank you for your interest. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today is September 16th, 2020, the year terrible. We will be discussing or recapping, to begin with, the first Monday Night Football games, the two of them. We will then be moving on to a preview of Week 2, what you can expect for Week 2, as well as some not guess the lines, but predictions as far as which way we would personally bet on the games. So what do you say, Brandon? Let's jump right into it.
I would love to jump right into it.
All right, so the first game that we're going to be discussing is the first game that occurred on Monday. This is going to be the Steelers versus the Giants. All I got to say, it was very nice to see Big Ben back in action. I thought he looked, he started off a little cold, but he kind of warmed back up and kind of got into a place where he was very good. And like we discussed, the last time we saw him in any real form, he performed very well and had an excellent, I believe it might have even been a career best in yards season. So it was nice to see him get back out there. All of the receivers had a chance to have a year, an extra year. I know, Deontay Johnson, James Washington, that helped them out quite a bit. Just some initial reactions. I guess Daniel Jones looked, I'm just going to say, okay. The Giants have a pretty heavy slate. They're kind of front-loaded this year on the beginning. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. The Pittsburgh defense might be a top defense in this league. I did definitely expect it to be. And so I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass there. But just real quick, jumping in, and then I'll move to Big Boo here. I was probably, the biggest takeaway is that Deontay Johnson, and this was kind of something we had guessed, but Deontay Johnson had the most targets on the team with 10. Him and Juju tied for receptions with 6. But Deontay clearly led the team as far as the targets went, and that's something I think that was a little bit undersold in the offseason. I know there were a lot of people suggesting that he may have a good year and this could be a breakout for him, but I don't think anybody was expecting a breakout to the extent that he had tonight. And, and let's not get too crazy. He was only for 57 yards, but I do expect that to get better through the year. One other thing real quick I will note on the Giants side before I pass it over to Brandon is that I was a little bit concerned with the Giants offense, specifically Saquon Barkley. Not so much for him, just, this is a tough thing to look at. 15 carries for 6 yards. Mm-hmm. I thought my eyes were deceiving me when I was looking at this, or there had to be an error. Obviously, Pittsburgh has an incredible defense, but that's not good. And, shout out Jason Garrett. The other notable takeaway I had was that Slayton finished the game with the most yards with 102. Him and Barkley both had 9 targets. Shepard followed with 6. And so I do expect him to be a bigger piece in this offense as well than we were initially anticipating. Brandon, I'm sorry for taking so much time. What do you have to say about this game?
No, I expected Sterling Shepard to be the number one receiver on the Giants, and it is not looking that way. He had the same amount of catches, he had 3 less targets than Slayton. He had the same amount of catches, but for 60 less yards or 50 less yards and 2 less touchdowns. So it could be 1 week, but that is something at least to note. Disappointed in Saquon because I don't care how good a defense is. You should average more than 0.4 yards per carry.
In fairness to him, he did lead this week. And I say lead like it's a good thing. He had the least amount of yards before contact.
I don't. It's just
he was negative.
When you're viewed as a generational talent, you got to do better than that. 15 carries for 6 yards. I don't care how good or how bad you are. You should not be getting
I'm
that.
Personally giving him a pass. Again,
he's fine in the passing
when you're
game.
Getting hit before the line by a significant margin.
I know, but so was Le'Veon last year. He still got like 3 yards a carry, which is 10 times as much as this.
It's game 1. If this was game 4 and this had been...
I'm just saying I was disappointed with his performance.
No, that's fair. I was very concerned.
I'm not worried about him.
I'm not worried about him as a player. I'm more so worried about the Giants' ability to get him space.
Yeah, and yeah, you'd say he only got 15 carries, but I mean, if you had 15 carries for 6 yards, I'd argue he should have gotten fewer. but that's just me. Regarding the Steelers, the Benny Snell makes things interesting for James Conner because I heard James Conner went down with an injury, and that's like normally you'd be like, oh, if he's not hurt, that's okay. He went 6 carries for 9 yards, and his replacement went 19 for 113. So if I were a James Conner owner, I'd be getting a little shook because when he got the ball, he did nothing.
Now, I would like to think, as we've noted previously in our podcast, James Conner is part of our first team all-injured team, so I would really hope that you owned Benny Snell. If not, this is definitely going to be a tough situation.
Because I could see it even being split if James, but at least within a couple of games, if James Conner keeps playing like this.
Yeah, I would say it's probably going to split more so due to the fact of how delicate he is versus, the talent level. But, if it's something where they're like, we need to keep him around all season, let's split their
I was going to say,
carries
and because Benny Snell showed he can get it done. So, hey, let's give him work to ease the load off of James Conner. Either way, James Conner ended with 0.9 points on the ground, and let's look at his receiving stats.
And while you're looking that up, I will say I feel that
2.8 on the ground, 2 catches for 8 yards. He had 17 total yards.
The Steelers are a little chiefish in terms of I feel like anybody with a pulse could get back there or the 49ers and run the ball well.
James Conner couldn't.
Well, again, I don't think it's fair to on 6 carries to. But it is something that I'm more so concerned for his health than I am for him. And I would be, if I was a James Conner owner and I did not own Benny Snell, I would be sweating right now.
Yeah, I'd say he's a sell low, but you can't really sell him. I'm saying he's like you could sell him now and maybe get something, but when you have 17 yards, you're not going to get anything for him.
I wouldn't sell him personally, but
for how much you'd get, no. It's like maybe like if he had a decent week, you'd be like, all right, let's get rid of him. But he's terrible, so you'll get nothing.
I wouldn't give up on a guy for 6 carries. I think that's way premature to do that. Next, and I will say as well, that was when they were still working the offense at the beginning of the game. But if it's okay with you, we'll move on to the next game.
Probably the most bizarre game I've seen in a long time.
This one was rather weird. Titans win this game 16-14 against the Broncos.
Should have beat them like 15.
The big notes I have. Derrick Henry is going to get a lot of work. 31 carries, 116 yards, no touchdowns, which was a surprise.
Got stuffed in the goal line.
I just can't believe they're giving him so many carries on week 1. But I guess you got to do what you got to do. Philip Lindsay did get injured in this game. The big takeaways for me, I'm going to keep this nice and quick. Melvin Gordon is very good. He's going to get a lot more touches, being RB1, especially with Philip Lindsay being out. I think I'm not 100% panicking, but Corey Davis looks like he's going to have a bigger role in this offense than we anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not throwing the white flag up on A.J. Brown, but it was a little bit concerning. I know his game is a lot of ROC, so I'm not RAC. Sorry, run after catch. So I'm not totally dismissing him. Because that's one of those things you might break one week and you might not the next, and that's the difference between a good and bad week. But I was a little concerned about him. Jerry Jeudy needs to learn how to catch, but Noah Fant looked great.
Yeah. Noah Fant looked really nice. I'm looking at this now. Melvin Gordon was surprisingly good, surprisingly ineffective in the receiving game.
Surprising?
Well,
when was the last time he was bad?
Well, last year he wasn't that great. But, surprising in the sense where, we didn't know. Really, we're like, oh, well, is he going to get the lead back? Is he not? Then before the season, right before the season started, we kept hearing, 50-50-50-50. And it seemed like when Melvin got the ball, he was doing significantly more than Philip Lindsay. He was surprisingly ineffective in the passing game, though. 3 catches for 8 yards. He's usually better than that. So, he has a pretty low floor because I know he got a touchdown, but even with a game where he had 15 catches and he did nothing in the receiving game, he still put up a good game. So I think he'll be just fine. His efficiency this game was probably better than any game last year or the year before. I didn't check, but 5.2 yards a carry is very good for him. I'm looking in here now. A.J. Brown, as somebody who was very skeptical about A.J. Brown before the season, this did not help his case. Derrick Henry was surprisingly effective in the receiving game, too. You might say 3 catches. For him, 3 catches is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, across 16 games, that's almost 50 catches in the season.
Tannehill did throw a lot, though, with 43 attempts.
He did. It seemed like there's just a ton of plays. If you look at the plays comparison, they had 8 more rushes, and then they had 18 more plays than the Broncos. But, yeah, they just grind it out. They just kill the clock, have the possession last 10 minutes, and then they miss a field goal. But, yeah, I thought the Titans, all things considered, looked good. They should have smoked the Broncos, but...
They were very good in red zone offense last year, and they looked very poor this year.
And they couldn't hit a field goal to save
their life. And they missed 3 field goals and an extra point. So the game was a lot closer than it should have been. I think Cortland Sutton being in there makes a big difference for the Broncos at least. And I know Von Miller went out in the same week, so they were missing 2 big components of the team. But
yeah, Drew Lock didn't look bad either. He had a couple of fumbles. He got lucky he didn't lose either of them. But
he had a couple nice throws as well. Not a bad outing for him, I didn't
still
think.
Beef, my Dynasty League. I lost by 0.3 points, and I had Melvin Gordon and Derrick Henry, and Melvin Gordon fumbled it, and Derrick Henry got stuffed on the goal line 3 times, and I was just losing it because I was so close.
That's just something you hate.
$100 buy-in, and then I start 0-1 because of that. But yeah, that was really the main things. Royce Freeman, not worth talking about. Jonnu Smith also. Jonnu Smith, he did more than I thought he would. But then again, I didn't expect much out of Jonnu Smith, but he got the first touchdown. 36 yards, 4 catches. But he also had 7 targets, which was number 2, or tied for number, I guess there's 2 people with 8, so tied for number 3 on the Titans. He could actually be worth rostering at least.
All right, and so we're going to go ahead and move on to this week's games, the Week 2 preview. We're going to try to move through these games pretty quick. Probably we're going to try to note some of the bigger items as well as predict the lines. Or not predict the lines. Guess who we think is going, where we'd place money.
Based on the lines.
I need to go ahead. I will go ahead and keep track, and we'll have a spreadsheet of who guessed better throughout the year. Not that it really matters, but it might be something that's kind of fun. The first game that we're going to go ahead and start with, we're going to start with the Thursday night game, which is Bengals versus Browns. Brandon, would you like to, we can alternate who leads off on these?
Yeah, this one's going to be, this is a strange game because I don't know how good the Browns are. I guess I technically don't, but the Bengals are, so I'm getting all tangled up because they should have won last week, and that being said, it was against a bad team. So I don't know, because I feel like they would have given more of a fight to the Ravens than the Browns would. So I don't know. I think this game's gonna be a lot closer than people think. Cleveland is the clear-cut advantage with the line, but I don't believe it. Joe Burrow, I think, is going to have a better game. The defense for the Browns looked absolutely abhorrent last year, but last week as well. I think Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are both going to get a lot of work as well, as it will be a non-blowout game. At least it shouldn't be. Jarvis Landry, I think, is going to get a lot of work too. Odell Beckham Jr., I don't know and I don't care, primarily because he doesn't interest me anymore. That being said, the Giovanni Bernard should, if he were to have a good game, I feel like it would be this game. And I am all over the place. Not Giovanni Bernard. Can't think of his name.
Who are you thinking? I'm sorry, I was looking up a stat.
Cincinnati running back. Why can't I think of his name?
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon. Thank you. Joe Mixon's gonna have a bounce back week this week, I think. Even though last week he wasn't terrible. AJ Green and Tyler Boyd are 2 other guys I'm interested in.
So I'm gonna go ahead and keep mine kind of short and sweet here. My spreadsheet moved. So a couple things. I kind of have a bunch of bullet points. I wrote some notes here. I'm expecting a big week again from Jarvis Landry. Bengals had 5 players with 5 targets last week. Or excuse me. You and I are both having a little trouble.
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
But okay, I just said the wrong thing for Jarvis. So Bengals had 5 players with 5 targets. I'm really expecting Tyler Boyd to get back in the mix a little bigger than he was last week. I think AJ Green's still going to be good. I think that he's going to find the end zone this week.
I hope so.
And I'm expecting the offense to look a little better. They didn't go to Tyler Boyd very much at the beginning of the game, and I'm expecting them to do a better job getting him the ball. I also expect Mixon to have more success this week, and I'm predicting him to get in the end zone.
Ooh.
I know. He's got to get there one of these weeks. As far as the Brown side, I expect Nick Chubb, to reaffirm dominance in the backfield, kind of solidifying his place as the one over Kareem Hunt there. I'm expecting a very big game out of him, and I'm expecting the Browns to start off running pretty heavy. Also expecting Hunt to have a good game, but I think they're both good plays this week. I would see Kareem is more of a low end 2, maybe a flex versus an RB1, but I think that they're both going to be a good play. I'm expecting Jarvis Landry to be the best receiver this week, probably by a little bit, but I do think that OBJ will bounce back potentially with a touchdown. He's one of those guys, if you don't get him going, he's just going to whine and cry and be a problem. So
He'll probably whine and cry if he's getting it going, too.
I think they're going to make a big deal about getting him the ball and doing a better job, especially with his 3 catches on 10 targets.
I like to think that, too. But at the same time, they tried last week. They targeted him 10
Yeah,
times.
but
They tried to get him involved.
They were playing against the Bengals, or not the Bengals. They were playing against the Ravens, so I do expect them to, I expected them not to be that bad, but still to struggle. But this week against the Bengals, I'm expecting them to be able to move the ball a lot better. I'm very, very cautiously optimistic about Austin Hooper, but I think that he's a guy to watch, but my expectations are tempered. Unless you have anything to add, we will go ahead and move to the Rams, Eagles,
or the line.
Oh yes, good call. What
line?
What is our line for this one?
Favored.
I'm going to say the Browns are favored.
The Browns are favored. Do you have a guess at how much?
Probably 2.5.
6 points.
Oh,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
A team that just lost by 1 million. Okay.
A team that looked like the worst team in the league last week is favored by 6.
Believe it or not, I'm actually 6.5.
6.
6. Ooh, that 6 is. If it was 6.5, I'd probably go the other way. I'm actually going to take the Browns on that one.
I probably would too, but I wouldn't feel good about it. I'd never make the bet myself.
It's the stupid thing with the Falcons that their offense has so many good players that I always think they're going to score 1 million points, and they never do. But that's kind of the situation here. But moving on to the noon game, this is going to be the Rams-Eagles. This is our first noon game. I will go ahead and start. I'm expecting Goff will score this week. He went touchdownless.
Yeah, he had 31 attempts.
No touchdowns
bound.
in week 1.
He's bound to.
So I'm expecting a nice game from him touchdown-wise. I'm expecting Brown to remain the number 1 running back this week.
I hope so, too.
With Akers getting significant work. I think this might be a thing where eventually it shifts, but for the immediate future, I'm expecting Brown to be the better play. I'm also expecting Cooper Kupp to bounce back and be the best receiver this week. Maybe it's just me being cautiously hopeful or because he's on my fantasy team, but I don't think that he's going to be getting outplayed by Robert Woods on a consistent basis.
I don't either. I don't think Robert Woods is very good. So I think
Robert Woods is good, but he's not very dynamic.
He's just fine. He's fine. He's usually good for 60 yards, and that's it.
Yeah, he has a good game here and there. He's not usually every week guy where I would say that Cooper Kupp is definitely more of a consistent play. So I like him a lot this week. And I think Higbee's also going to be a good play, and I think he's going to get in the end zone, which he did not last week.
Yeah,
obviously.
I like all of them. I'm trying to think the Eagles. I like Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz again. They've proven time and time again that they can run 2 tight ends and be effective with it, which I remember even before the season. I'm like, as a backup, Dallas Goedert was still number 2. He's not a backup. He's just a second option. So I like Dallas Goedert, and if you haven't picked him up and he's available in your league, which I don't know how, but if he is, pick him up. And the receivers don't interest me much. Deshaun Jackson didn't do much last week. Alshon Jeffrey's hurt. Rager, I guess, he had 1 catch for 55 yards, which is impressive, but it didn't seem like they're trying to get him the ball much either. So the only guy I like on the Eagles are the tight ends and Miles Sanders.
Yeah, it's a little tough for me with the Eagles this week. I'm expecting Sanders to be back this week, and it looks like he's planning on practicing. I still think Boston Scott will lead the way regardless, or I shouldn't say regardless. If he's out, he's going to lead the way. However, if Sanders plays, I expect him to get the workload, but I do expect Boston Scott to be kind of a pest and still get quite a few carries as they ease Sanders in. Like you said, I expect Goddard and Ertz to be a big factor again this week. 16 combined targets last week. That's a lot of target share, and so I think that they're going to be big. I'm excited to watch how that drama unfolds between those two.
Yeah, and 8.
It's a little bit of a
and
weird
again, yeah,
spot.
the backup still got 8 targets. So I mean, that's exactly that's more than most starting tight ends. I had T.J. Hockenson last week, and I was very happy with his performance, but he only got 5 targets.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of workload for them. Probably more so due to the lack of receiving options, but. I do, unlike you, I think Deshaun Jackson's going to have a bounce back week and have a touchdown. I'm calling a long touchdown for Deshaun this week. And I'm also keeping an eye on Jalen Reagor and Greg Ward to see how they look in the offense. Potential deep team ads or potential if they look good another week, maybe an ad.
What are your thoughts on the line?
What do we got for a line?
I mean, who do you think's favored?
Oh, Rams by at least a touchdown.
Wrong. Philadelphia's favored. Do you know by how much?
It has to be below 3 points because if
1
not,
point.
somebody's on crack. Okay.
Well, I'd say even 1 point, they'd still be on crack. But
I agree. I'm taking the Rams and probably 6 points.
Yeah, I would never take the Eagles. Granted, they do have the Miles Sanders back, but after the
You just lost to Washington.
after the display that I watched last week, I do not have any faith in them unless they could somehow turn it around quick.
Like the Falcons, the Eagles are the one team that I think this team is good every single year, and they're never good. So
Hey, they made the playoffs last year.
in that division, what did they have? 8 wins? Like,
I think it was 9.
They're just always terrible, and they
They're
always
always
give up a
just
million
hurt.
sacks.
Their offensive line and their receivers are always out.
That division is just embarrassing. The
I hate
Giants
that
are always
division.
horrendous, and somehow are still in it in Week 15. The Cowboys should just be embarrassed. They should lose the ability to go to the playoffs.
Oh, I
just
know.
for their
Well,
incompetence.
they essentially have, but
Did you have any other notes on the Rams, or are you ready to move on to Panthers-Bucks?
just the fact that I see the Rams winning relatively easily.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Rams plus the points. How about are you ready for the Panthers-Bucks?
I'm more than ready for that.
All right, so we'll let you go ahead and give your thoughts on those guys because we're alternating here.
I see Tampa Bay winning this one pretty easily. I think that I don't like Gronk. I don't want him. I think OJ Howard.
That's a very hot take.
Well,
I'm saying that sarcastically, by the way.
I think OJ Howard is a much, much better play than Gronk this week.
I thought you've been telling me for years how bad OJ Howard is.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I mean, nothing's changed. It's just if it's Gronk or him, I'm taking him every day of the year.
All right.
But I don't like Teddy Bridgewater. I don't like any of the receivers again this week. The only guy in the Panthers I like is Christian McCaffrey. The Bucks, they were a little disappointing last week, but the people who are saying that Tom Brady's over the hill, I'm not buying it. Other than one bad throw last week, he had a decent game. I like Godwin if he plays.
He has a concussion, so
I heard that there's still a potential that he played. I don't think he will, but
that's fair.
He's in protocol. But yeah, I like him. If not, I'm not big on Mike Evans still. I don't think he's 100%. And who's the guy we had in the free agency?
Scotty,
yeah.
Scotty Miller.
He could be a very sneaky play. And Ronald Jones. I'm still not on Fournette right now, but Ronald Jones I think will be fine.
Yeah, a couple notes that I had, and I tend to agree with most of what you said. I think the Brady and the offense will look better as the season goes.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's just every week it's going to look a little better, and then we're all going to say, how do we overreact so hard?
And
week
they
one?
started against one of the better defenses too.
And I think that's a big issue as well. I expect Ronald Jones to lead the backfield, but I am interested to see the amount of touches Fournette gets. I think that those are going to go up. It might be a thing where it takes 5, 6, 7 games, but I think eventually that's kind of the direction they're looking to go. I was expecting Godwin and Evans to have a big game, each have big games. But if Godwin doesn't play, then I would expect Scotty Miller to step in and be a great DFS option, or if he hasn't been picked up in a league and you have no receivers or something, I think he's a good play as well. Also seeing, like you kind of mentioned, if OJ Howard is worth a grab. I think that he could end up being a nice pickup. Just how much, he's clearly the number one guy in that offense for tight ends. And just based on Gronk's usage, Brady is comfortable and likes to go to the tight ends. So I think he is a potential sneaky play or a sneaky pickup, and one that once that offense gets clicking, everybody's going to be like, why did we not pick this guy up 2 weeks ago? But I would drop Gronk as a side note if he has another bad game, assuming that you didn't drop him already. So as far as the offense goes for the Panthers, I think it's going to be a rough day. The Bucs gave up 280 total yards in week 1. And they gave up 82 rushing yards. And so that makes me a little nervous about McCaffrey. Again, he gets so much volume. I'm not as worried, but I do think that especially in the DFS option, I think his ceiling is a lot lower than one would like.
It was bizarre. They completely shut down Kamara, but had nothing for Murray, which is strange to me.
Yeah, but they had 82 total yards. It's not it's not like Kamara had 30 and Murray went for 150. I get what you're saying. I don't know. Their defense is very good, so I'm expecting that to be a thing. I think Robbie Anderson could end up being a pretty nice pickup in this this offense. His kind of game, he just needs one in some space, and that's all he needs to have a good week. And so clearly Bridgewater was happy throwing it to him. So I think that he's one of those guys that is going to put up pretty good numbers all year and is going to be one of those eye rollers like this guy really, but. Clearly he's being used better there than when he was on the Jets.
And even better than DJ Moore is being used right now. Through 1 week, I know. But for considering most people got Robbie Anderson for like a 13th round pick and a DJ Moore for like a 3rd or 4th, I could see a lot of people being very upset about that.
Yeah, that's the last note that I have is that I'm very interested to see who will emerge as the best wide receiver of the group.
I think it's going to be Robbie.
Well, something interesting is that Anderson and Samuel both had 8 targets and Moore had 9 last week. So, like we said, 9. I think we'd all agree that 8 targets for Anderson equals better production than 8 for the other two. Most weeks. So that's something to think about. But I would be a little nervous if, like you had said, I had put a lot of stock into into those guys.
Yeah, I avoided DJ Moore, I guess, and Robbie Anderson, but for where you're getting them or where you could have gotten them, Robbie Anderson's looking like the much better guy.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I know it's only week 1, but still. The one last thing I will say about this game, did you see the video of Robbie Anderson today?
Which one?
About the mascot? The Panther is dancing in the stands. And Robbie Anderson looks over. I think it was Curtis Samuel or DJ Morris. One of the two he was sitting by. He's like, "What's that bear doing up there?" And I don't remember the name of the mascot, but the wide receiver was like, "Oh, it was like a double name."
Let's just say Barry.
It was like, "Oh no, like that's Spunky Panther." It's like, "Oh, Spunky Panther's just doing his thing up there, man." And he's like, "That's stupid." Or he said something ridiculous. Like, you should just look up the clip. But it was really funny because of how, like, I don't want to call it tone deaf, but it was just really hilarious that, like, the conversation was really funny because one guy was, like, excited about it, and obviously Robbie thought it was the dumbest thing in the world.
He thought it was a bear.
Yeah, it's a funny watch for sure.
Sir
Purr, that's it. Yeah, it is. Like, what's that bear doing up there, man?
What's he doing? The bear? The Panther. Sir Purr, man. Who? Sir Purr. How you say that? Sir Purr. Sir Purr. Oh, Sir Purr. Wow.
Brandon's watching the video, by the way.
You call him that? Yeah, that's his name. Like, what's up, Sir Purr?
Yeah, it was like one of those really stupid videos. Like, one guy was really hyped about it, and Robbie's just
I was like, I asked him what the bear was doing.
Yeah.
How don't you know that's your mascot guy?
I was like, come on, man. But next game we'll move on to is going to be Broncos versus the Steelers. Would you like me to start on this one?
Sure.
All right. I think it's going to be a rough day for the Bronco offense. As we talked about the Steelers' defense being extremely good, the Steelers gave up 29 rushing yards on 20 attempts last week, and so I'm expecting them to not fully shut down the run game, but I'm expecting Melvin Gordon to be limited this game. Obviously not a DFS play in my opinion.
No.
I would expect Locke to also have some picks this week. It will be interesting if Cortland Sutton comes back to see how he looks. I am excited to see that offense with him and with all the guys going at 100%. With Jerry Jeudy being the second option, I think that's something that might even help him out a lot. He actually looked very good for the first game of his career outside of the drops, and so I am interested to see how Jeudy and Fant's targets look if Sutton plays. That's just something I would like to see.
Yeah, Fant and Jeudy are the two I'm excited about.
Yeah, I think they could look good. Like I said, if Cortland plays, I think he could be all right, but he's somebody who drafted him, just heavy sigh. But as far as the Steelers go, I think Benny Snell's going to have a good game this week. Mm-hmm. I am interested to see who the number 1 receiver ends up being. I think it's still going to be Juju, but obviously Deontay Johnson was kind of challenging that this week. Mm-hmm. I also am interested to see if Washington gets kind of phased out or pushed to the obvious wide receiver 3 on that team. So that is something for me to watch. Juju had 6 targets, Johnson had 10, and Washington had 3. I believe Washington did get the touchdown, but obviously that would lead me to think that Johnson and Juju are going to be, and I know this is one game, but Juju was obviously the 1 earlier, and Johnson was the 3, but I think that's kind of flip-flopped a little bit, and he might challenge Juju even for the number 1 spot. And then lastly, it appears that Eric Ebron is not worth owning.
No.
He's more of to quote another podcast, he's more of a what-the-heck flex. I think he always has touchdown upside. Mm-hmm. So if you're very desperate and need a touchdown or looking for 2 catches and 2 touchdowns or something like that, I think he might be a good play. But if you're just looking generally for a guy to throw out there every week, I would say that he does not appear to be worth owning.
I don't know why we all fell into that trap, myself included.
It's because one game. There's a chance.
Big Ben is historically not used as tight ends very effectively. And we're like, hey, we kind of got a half-washed-up guy who's a touchdown vulture. Like, he'll use him. Like, no.
Yeah, I don't think he's half-washed. But just a side note, when you're done with your Broncos Steelers, we did forget to do the lines on the Panthers Bucks.
That is true. Actually, we could start that. Let's do that real quick so I don't forget.
Okay.
Panthers or Bucks? Let me just find.
I'm taking the Bucks by whatever the well, unless it's like 8.
Why can't I?
I think it's Bucks by at least 6.
The line is Tampa Bay. You are correct.
How
for
much?
9 points.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's tough.
They like those Bucks.
I think this has a good game to just. I think that's a good line.
I'd put it on the Bucks still.
I would probably go Panthers.
Ooh.
I don't think the offense is good enough on Tampa.
My thing with the Panthers is they're not built to come back.
No.
And they're going to be down quick.
There's a lot of injuries on the Bucks right now. Plus, I don't expect Tom Brady to look 100% quite yet.
Fair enough. Moving back to the
sorry for that little side note there.
Broncos and Steelers. I like Fant and Jerry Jeudy. Those are the two guys I like on the Broncos. And coming to the Steelers, I like the receivers. Especially, I think Juju, he looked really good this week. A lot better than he did last year. And I also like Benny Snell. I don't like James Cameron. Or James Conner. I don't like James Cameron much either.
Very overrated director.
He hasn't done much since
stories aren't that good.
He hasn't done much since Terminator.
Avatar was terrible.
Yeah,
Just admit it.
Even Titanic. The number 3 top grossing movie of all time.
Yeah, nice CGI, bro. Looked fake as hell.
Yeah, it was meh at best. Anyways, I like Benny Snell. Sorry, I got James Cameron on my mind again. Benny Snell, I think he's going to have another good game. I don't care much for James Conner. And I almost said John Connor now, which is Terminator. No. James Conner.
You need to get right.
I do need to get right. Moving next, which one do you have up for next?
I have Packers-Lions next.
Ooh. I actually think this is going to be a good game.
You can go ahead and lead us off on that. Personally, I know you're leading. I'm going to say I disagree. But
I think they're both going to be shooting out. I think the Packers will win. I expect... If Galladay's in, I expect a good game out of him. Kind of speaking common sense. I think another good game for Adrian Peterson. He looked really good last week, and so good that I spent $50 of my fab budget on him this week. So I put the money where the mouth is, but I like Adrian Peterson this week.
What were Dalvin Cook's numbers last week?
They weren't great, but Alexander Madison's were fantastic.
I think the Packers' rush defense is actually okay.
That's fair, but I think Adrian Peterson has the job. I, as somebody who currently owns him, I have no concern for Kerryon Johnson. None.
Well, I don't think anybody.
Kerryon Johnson is not a threat. And DeAndre Swift just dropped the game-winning ball. So I think Adrian Peterson has the longest leash and will get most of the work this week.
Do you have any other notes on that?
Oh, yeah. I don't think Danny Amendola will have another great week like he did last week, obviously, if Kenny Galladay is back.
He is a strong avoid. Unless you were the most desperate team in the history of fantasy football.
Trying to think. TJ Hawkinson, I like a lot of what I saw from him last week, and I don't like a lot. They threw the ball, I think, 43 times. He had 5 targets. I don't like that. But he was very effective with the 5 targets he had. So he's kind of in the air for me. The Packers, obviously Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones. And
oh, no. Don't tell me you're going to have to admit he's good.
Aaron Jones? No, I'm not going to admit that.
Oh.
And maybe Alan Lazard. But, yeah, primarily Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones.
All right, so I think this is going to be a pretty big-time scoring game. I think the Packers are going to score a lot of points. I think the Lions could as well. I'm interested to see if Valdez-Scantling can be a weekly play.
I don't think he can.
As well as Alan Lazard. I think he's going to be sneaky good. He did drop another I can't remember if it was a touchdown or another long play, but he had more that should have been there. I just think that it was a 3rd and long, and he caught it with a ton of room to run and dropped an easy catch. So I think he has. Again, it's one of those things where like who else is going to take targets, but I think that he has a chance to actually be okay this year. Not okay as in a wide receiver 1, but I think he has flex potential every week. Him and Lazard.
At the same time, though, I don't see Aaron Rodgers shredding defenses like he did.
I think we might be surprised.
Well, he had 4 touchdowns. He's not going to have 4 touchdowns. That'd be on track for like almost 70.
Yeah, but if he had 2 or 3 a game, then I think that it would be.
Well, that's way different, though. That's half.
Well, yeah, but that means somebody else can still get it. I would say avoid all Packer tight ends because the tight ends aren't going to get any touchdowns.
No, absolutely not.
I don't know. I think that's what I'm interested to see. I think they can both be good flexes, but I'm interested to see if they can maybe be wide receiver 2, kind of low-end guys. The Lions gave up 5.32 yards per carry, so I expect Aaron Jones to have a good game. And as for on the Lions side there, I'm definitely looking to avoid the Lions backfield. I think that Peterson's going to be the best play. He had 14 attempts to the next best guy having 7. So I think, to Brandon's point, I think he is going to kind of be locking down that backfield. But I do think that his ceiling is definitely limited, and I think they're going to try to work DeAndre Swift into the offense quite a bit more as things move out.
Yeah, I picked him up more for depth than anything. He's not starting on my team.
That's more of a concern for later on, but I just think that that's kind of an ominous thing hanging over his head there. I'm also interested. I know I'm kind of the only one interested in this, but I want to see if Quintez Cephas can maintain a large role in the offense. He had 10 targets, I believe, last week, which is, again, Galladay's out, so we're not overreacting here, but I think that he's a potential guy that, if this keeps up, he's going to be one of those must-own waiver wire guys pretty soon here. But he's flying under the radar. I'm not saying to go pick him up. I'm just saying just watch out. I'm expecting Hawkinson to have a good day today, or a good day Sunday, and I think that kind of the rest will depend on Galladay as far as, how the offense looks and who gets targets. Mm-hmm. Even Marvin Jones might have a back. He might be able to turn back the clock a little bit, but
he's not even that old.
I'm a little worried about him after last game. So,
yeah, it was his time to shine, and he didn't shine.
Not at all. The next game that we
have
have
the line, Austin.
Oh,
the line. Come on.
Packers by 4.5.
Packers by 6.
Not even close.
What are you taking?
I'm taking the Packers.
Oh, I'll take the Lions.
The only reason I wouldn't take the Lions or wouldn't take the Packers is because I think that 6 is a good line again. Like I think they're going to win by at least 2 touchdowns or at least 2 field goals. That's why I'm taking the Packers.
They predict the game to be, trying to do the math in my head, 49 total points, and the Packers by 6. So it would be 30. I'm not doing the math. It's
what a segment. Okay, we're just going to
that
move
was
on.
Rough. It's 20-something to 20-something.
I'm going to move on to the Vikings-Colts. I'll go ahead and start this one. I'm expecting Cook to have a big day on the Vikings side. He was 12 for 50 in week 1. I think with a better game script and with a team that's not going to put up as many points, I think he's going to get a lot more work and be pretty good. And I also expect, I know, shocker here, I expect Thielen to be good. Could be concerning without the garbage time because that's when he did most of his damage last week. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something to watch. I would say that if he comes out and has a bad week this week, that I would be big time worried about owning Thielen.
Especially when they had like 2 pass attempts through the first quarter.
Yeah, clearly,
I'm just scratching my head like, what the hell are you thinking?
Clearly they do not trust Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's the most obvious thing I've ever seen.
I don't know why they don't. Because when he throws the ball, they're fine. I didn't say great. I said fine.
I don't consider him to be a big clutch guy or a big guy I want with the ball.
Well, exactly. If he's not a clutch guy,
he's better than 4 throws.
Yeah, keep the ball in his hand early. Like, don't hold him to 2 passes through the first quarter. I could get any rhythm with that.
They should be doing the Rams style of thing where they just do play action every play. But so I don't know. I would be worried about Thielen if he has a bad week this week, but I think he's going to do all right this week. On the Colts side, the Vikings gave up 4.94 yards per carry, so I think it'll be a big game for Hines and Taylor. And I'm interested to see if Jordan Wilkins gets any work. Actually, I wrote Marlon Mack in there. Jordan Wilkins is the next guy up, and he was always good, and a lot of people, you know how people do the hashtag free this guy?
Yeah.
I know that some of the fantasy truthers have been suggesting, this guy needs to be on a different team.
I don't think these people want to be freed. Like the Lamar Millers. Like, everyone was free Lamar Miller, and then they freed him, and that guy put him back because he's not doing anything.
Jordan Wilkins hasn't really had a time to shine, and I think this could be – he should at least be getting some touches, and if he does stuff with them, I think that he could earn a little bit of play time. I'm not telling you to go pick him up. I'm not telling you he's better than any of the other guys in that area. I'm just saying that I think he's going to be a potential – it'll be interesting to see if he can get some play. I'm also willing to see if Paris Campbell can challenge Taylor as far as – or as T.Y. Hilton, for wide receiver 1. They both had 9 targets. Ooh. So I think Campbell, if he was not owned, he definitely should be. I'm imagining he's picked up in every league by now. But I think he's going to be a surprise good steal and somebody that is going to help people win a lot of leagues. T.Y. didn't look quite as normal or as good as he normally does, so I'm interested to see if he looks pretty going forward, and I think that's going to help Campbell. If T.Y. looks really good, I think, Campbell's ceiling goes down, but I think there could be an option that Campbell puts up better stats than T.Y. this year. And I do think Jack Doyle, on a side note, is an okay play this week.
I think Dalvin Cook's going to have a better game, but I think he's going to have a worse fantasy performance. If that makes sense.
Low bar.
Well, no, like I think he's going to play better, but get less points. Like 50 yards, he's going to get more than 50 yards. He's going to be used in the receiving game, but he's not going to get 2 touchdowns. So I think we'll see a better game out of Dalvin. Thielen, I'm in on too. Yeah, I see the Vikings winning this one, but I'm not too confident in it. The Colts, I don't like the Colts much. I do really like Jonathan Taylor this week, though. I could see him putting up a big numbers this week. And he's the one guy. I mean, Naheem Hines probably, too. I think he's a good flex play. But other than that, like T.Y. Hilton, I mean, if you have him, you'll probably start him. But, yeah, that offense was very underwhelming week one.
This is going to be a weird line.
Yeah,
I'm expecting the Vikings to be favored
the line.
by under 4 points.
We have Indianapolis favored, which I think is 100% nonsense because they just got smoked by Gardner Minshew. But
Well, yeah, but the Vikings got smoked by
Aaron Rodgers, first ballot
they
Hall
look
of Famer.
terrible.
The Colts don't look good either. It's the Colts by 3 points. I'm taking the Vikings every day of the week. And maybe even every day last week, too.
I'm taking the Vikings as well, but I don't feel great about it. I would not bet this.
No, probably not.
All right, for the next game, we have Giants versus Bears. Brandon, do you have any thoughts you'd like to start out with?
This game's going to suck. Because I don't think either one of these teams is good.
Well, I could say I know neither one of these
Well,
teams
yeah,
is good,
I don't
but
like either of the quarterbacks to play. I certainly don't like David Montgomery. Allen Robinson's a good play. Obviously, Saquon Barkley. Duh. I would not start Jimmy Graham because I know a lot of people are because going to see him get that touchdown. Big
I
Jimmy's back.
really hope nobody starts Jimmy Graham.
Don't start Jimmy Graham. And the Giants, Slayton. I like Slayton. I like Saquon. And that's really, I mean, I got obviously Sterling Shepard if you have him, but I can't remember. Didn't Evan Ingram lay an egg last week?
Yeah, he did terrible. He had 7 targets with 2 receptions.
I could see a bounce. I was gonna say bounce back, but it's impossible. Like you just got to show up to bounce back from that performance. But I could see Evan Ingram having a significantly better week this week.
Wow, that's a bold call.
Well, I mean, that's why I switched it to significant.
What is it, 2 receptions for 12 yards?
Well, no,
Wow.
I could see him
What
having
a threshold.
5 or 6 for around 50 to 60, which is 5
fair
times
enough.
as much.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is going to be a bounce back for Saquon game. Bears definitely are not as good as the Steelers on defense. The Bears gave up 4.76 yards per carry, and so I expect Saquon to be a lot better, even with that terrible offensive line. I think Jones will also have a better game. I'm giving a lot of credit to the Steelers defense, by the way. It's interesting on the offensive end. I only trust Slayton and Shepard. And when I say trust, I'm not saying as a wide receiver one, but they're the only 2 I'm really interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see if Slayton's going to take the slot as the number 1. I think in all of our heads we consider Sterling Shepard to be the one. So I'm interested to see how that wide receiving core ends up looking depth chart wise. And like you said, I'm expecting Ingram to bounce back quite a bit. I'm expecting them to have more time to throw. I'm expecting Danny to look better. And I just think the offense is going to look a lot better. Again, I don't think they're going to be looking amazing, but obviously anything's better than what we just saw. On the Bears end, I think Trubisky is a playable option in the deeper league. He actually surprisingly has quite a bit of upside, which I hate to say because I think he's an awful real-life quarterback. But for fantasy, I think he is kind of startable. Looking to see if Anthony Miller is a thing. He had a very nice game last
he wasn't
week.
bad.
On the one good pass Trubisky had, Anthony Miller had an equally as great catch. And so I think he's pretty good and is going to be somebody that, again, he might be one of those guys we all wonder why he wasn't rostered earlier as well. And then Allen Robinson should also have a huge day. I know a lot of people are a little worried about him ever since he took all his stuff off Instagram, but it looked like he still wants to play. He's just looking for that new contract, which the dude really deserves.
That's literally all you got to do to get more money. Just take everything off of social media. It's like, oh, we'll talk.
I can't even imagine what Trubisky would have looked like without him on the field, as a side note. But that's all that I have for this game. Any last second thoughts, Brandon?
I want to strangle whoever gave Daniel Jones the nickname Danny Dimes.
It's probably him.
Yeah, that's just me. Hypothetical. Would you be concerned, let's say hypothetically, Saquon...
If I paid money to go to this game?
Oh, yeah, of course you would. If Saquon went out 20 carries for 30 yards, would you be concerned about him then?
Well, yeah, because that would mean the Giants' offensive line is probably the worst in football and is still averaging negative yards per
So you think if he
contact.
doesn't put out this week, he's in a world of trouble?
Again, I don't think he is. I think that the
I mean,
Giants
it's what he has to, like, owners are in a world of trouble.
I don't
who
think that
drafted
he
him at
sucks.
number
I
2.
think the offensive line is just impediment that he is not able to work
Exceed.
around. Yes.
Well,
What's our line here?
who do you think, Giants or Bears favor?
Goodness gracious. This is just an absolute. I'm just going to say because the Bears won, I'm going to say the Bears are favored.
Correct. by 5.5.
Oh, jeez.
I would never bet on the Bears in that
Oh,
scenario.
but the Giants were so bad.
I got Giants.
I'm going Giants, but I would never in my life bet this game. Maybe the under, but
Yeah, Bears by 5.5. That's how many points they're going to score.
jeez.
Moving on.
Next game we have Falcons Cowboys. This is
This is going to be a shootout.
one I expect the score to go up a lot or to have a big time scoring game, but that's also what I said about Rams Cowboys, so we'll have to see.
It kind of was.
But I would say start all receivers. They're all must starts.
Yes.
It appeared that Cooper was this clear, top guy last week, especially with the injury. He still managed to have a great game. I think he had, was it 10 receptions or 10 targets? I don't remember.
He had a lot, especially at the end of the game.
He was really eating out there to do the Zeke thing. Speaking of eating, shout out to Zeke for the world's worst tattoo.
Yeah, and his gut just got kind of fat, too.
I
so
can't
it's
even
really
imagine
stupid.
being a millionaire and getting a tattoo like that.
Imagine being the poor guy who had to go out there and give him that
It
tattoo.
looks horrendous. Imagine being 50 and fat with that tattoo. It's going to be a very tough look.
Holding the needle in your hand, having to hold him by the stomach for like 5 hours to etch that garbage in.
It doesn't even look good with abs, let
No.
alone if you have a gut.
Whatever he has.
But that was a very side note. But I do think that CeeDee Lamb and Gallup are good plays as well
Yeah,
this
that was
week.
starting.
I'm expecting Gallup is going to break free almost every game, so I'm expecting him to have a big yardage play and maybe a touchdown this week. So I still think he's a good buy low option, even if you don't own him.
Thoughts on Todd Gurley?
We were going there now. I'm expecting him to be pretty meh, is what I wrote in my notes. The Rams averaged 3.83 yards per carry, and so I'm just not expecting it to get much better. I know that the Cowboys are having some trouble at linebacker with everybody being hurt, but I don't know. I think he's going to be fine, but I don't think he's going to be tremendous, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the only reason I'd have any faith, or the only scenario, would be if the Falcons were up by a lot and they had to run the game out. Because I think if he could rush the ball, he'll be fine. His catching last week was horrible. And if they're playing catch-up, I don't think they'll be throwing much to him.
Yeah.
So he's a dangerous flex play, but with a lot of upside, I think.
And to your point, they were playing from behind, and it was his first game on the team, so I don't want to overreact here.
But he also had, I think, 12 points through the first quarter and ended with, I think, 13.
Yeah,
It's like he got shut out the next 3 quarters,
yeah,
which is concerning.
I'm not overly excited, but obviously you're playing him if you have him. You're obviously starting Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. I would even start Gage. I'm interested to see if he's an actual thing. So I think he actually has potential to be a low-end wide receiver 2/flex, but that's something that we're going to see this week probably.
Yeah, I think Matt Ryan and
Maybe.
Dak Prescott should both also be started.
I would say that it's going to depend. Well, yes, I was assuming that was a given, but I'm going to assume that if Gage, it's going to be tough with Gage to gauge him a little bit, just because if they play, well, if it's a high scoring game, I'd like to see him play good defense before I said, oh, this guy's a start every week kind of thing. I said Gage.
Gauge to gauge.
I know it's your turn to talk, but I'm just going to preemptively say Cowboys by 6. But
Yeah, one
6.5.
thing to add, I think Hayden Hurst might actually be a decent start this week.
Oh,
If he
man.
doesn't do anything this week, that's when I'd pump the brakes on him, because I was a little, like many people were a little disappointed with him last week. But I think it's going to be a shootout, and I think that he might have, if he were to have success in the early games, it would be this one. I don't see the Falcons being up early by a lot, so I feel like they'll be passing most of the game too.
I would agree with that.
But then again, the Cowboys everyone expected them to beat the Rams pretty easily last week. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, that penalty.
Rams are a low-key sneaky team to win the Super Bowl.
They'll be, oh, well, they got lucky because the penalty on Gallup. Yes, they did, but the Cowboys also got lucky because Jared Goff got hit in the head on his pick, and they didn't call it. So I think there's 2 equally bad calls for
Yeah, you
each
can't blame the
each
refs
team.
for this one.
So
Yeah.
I think when people say, oh, well, the Cowboys deserved it. No, I think both teams got hosed out of a big play, and the Cowboys still ended up losing. But the line is Dallas by 4 points.
I would take Dallas. I think they're going to win by more than 4. I'd take them and points.
Yeah, I probably would too. I don't like it, though.
All right, so we will move on. We're going to try to pick up the speed a little bit here. We're about 50 minutes with quite a few games left. So,
Oh, boy.
49ers versus Jets. This should be a very quick one.
Nobody on the Jets other than
I
Jamison
have
Crowder.
3 notes.
Jamison Crowder, and if you're desperate at tight end, Chris Herndon.
Those were my only notes. Don't play Jets.
Yeah, the
Herndon,
Niners,
Crowder might be all right.
Raheem Mostert, The Jets defense actually looks pretty good against the rush. So I think Raheem might struggle. But if you have him, obviously you need to start him. And maybe Jarrett McKinnon.
I essentially said start all Niners. Those are my only notes.
Fair
I
enough.
didn't think anything else was
The
necessary.
line, San Francisco, -7. I'm taking the Niners in that one.
Garoppolo looked so bad last week, but I'm probably taking the Niners as well.
Did you take a look at Sam Darnold while you were at it?
Yeah, but 7's a lot of points. I'm still going to take the
I'm
Niners.
taking the Niners.
I don't feel overly great about it. But.
Next game.
Jags Titans for the next game. Would you like me to start, or do you want to start this one?
Oh, I could start this one.
All right, let's hear it.
I think the Tennessee is going to win pretty heavily. I think Derrick Henry is going to have a monster game. Corey Davis and A.J. Brown. I like Corey Davis a lot. Johnny Smith, too. Johnny Smith, I like him. And A.J. Brown, after last week, I think he'll have a bounce-back week. Because, yeah, we know who he is. Like, he's good for a big play every couple of games, and I think this is going to be his week, especially against Jacksonville. For the Jags, I don't really like anybody, to be honest. Yeah, because even the Titans held the Broncos to 12 points, 13 points. They held them to next to nothing, and I think that the Broncos are significantly better on offense than the Jaguars.
Oh, is that so?
So that being said, I probably wouldn't be starting anybody unless you need a quarterback, maybe Gardner, but the tight end,
Yeah,
the running back, I can't remember his name.
James Robinson.
James Robinson, yes. Maybe James Robinson, but other than that, just because his volume. But I don't know. I don't like the Jaguars in this game.
Yeah, that's kind of what my notes look like. It's going to be pretty quick, this one. I have James Robinson should be a low-end running back 2/flex.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not expecting huge things out of him. All wide receivers should also be played as low-end flexes. Keenan Cole, Laviska Shenault, and DJ Chark. I am interested to see if Shenault can become anything. He looks pretty good, put up a lot of stats, so I'm interested to see if he's kind of a guy to target in free agency. But as right now, we're just going to have to see how it plays out. As far as the Titans side, I'm expecting a big Derrick Henry game.
Oh, yeah.
I'm interested to see the wide receiver situation. Like we mentioned before, is Corey Davis a better play than A.J. Brown even? Like I said, I even put in parentheses, I'm very skeptical about this. But
yeah,
I think the conversation's worth having, and I think that it's something to watch out for.
It's weird because Corey Davis has been around for a long time. He's been around, 3 or 4 years? He's just now starting to be good. Like, I'm very, very...
Yeah, but Tannehill's here.
True.
On a side note, I'm taking Titans 4.5.
Ooh, well, it's the Titans by 9.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I don't do too much straight up gambling in case people can't tell me how
I'm taking the Jags.
how terrible my lines are.
If it's 9, I'll take the.
I will take the Jags as well.
It depends if they can
It
kick
have
the
to
ball.
go 10 to get the. Ugh.
If they could kick a field goal, then I might have faith in Tennessee. But
I think it could be a potential push too, but that's just me. Next game is going to be Bills-Dolphins. I'll go ahead and start this one. Dolphins gave up 3.22 yards per carry, so I'm nervous about the running backs.
Granted, it was to Sony Michel, who's not good.
I think when I calculated that, I had Cam Newton in there as well. But
What?
I think I just used all running backs.
That can't be right.
I believe I just took all the rushing stats and divided them by attempts.
Let me look it up.
You can look that
Continue.
up.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
So I'm nervous about the running backs. Singletary had 7 targets, and Moss had 4. So I still think that they're going to be okay plays, but I would be starting them more as flex plays versus any kind of RB1-2. I would be very nervous about them if they were more than that. I think Diggs and Brown are also great plays this week. I'm interested to see if Beasley can be a weekly flex. And I still don't trust Knox. Sorry.
I thought you were going to say Josh Allen's good.
No, I don't know why I was struggling on that. I don't trust Knox. So
No, he was. Yeah, he's good at dropping.
I think
the ball.
John Brown is going to be surprisingly good this year, and I think that him and Diggs are going to kind of switch weeks where one's better than the other. So
yeah, he was surprisingly good last year too.
Yeah, I'm expecting, especially because he's going to get less coverage because of Diggs. I'm expecting him to have a very nice week and be a weekly play. So I think he can be a wide receiver 1 some weeks, but primarily a 2. That's kind of how I see both of them. So, that's tough. Kind of borderline 1-2s, but especially Brown. But I think they're both going to have a good game. As far as the Dolphins go, outside of they just look like a mess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Parker, I'm kind of interested in, not so much this week. And I am interested to see how the running backs shake out. Mike Gesicki might be an okay play. The other guy that I'm interested to see, and forgive me, his name is missing right now.
Myles Gaskin.
Miles Gaskin, thank you. I'm interested to see if Gaskin is a good play this week. Believe it or not, I actually think he could end up being an okay season-long guy. Obviously, Jordan Howard and Matt Breida, and I know it's 1 week, so we're not overreacting, but they did not get it done. And the way Gaskin came out with all the touches, I think is weird, but also a good sign for him. So as of right now, he's the one guy I would want to own out of this backfield, and I think at this point the other guys might even be droppable.
So I like everybody on the Bills, even the running backs. I looked it up. The Patriots, there's a couple of there's a receiver in there and a quarterback too.
I think I added it all together.
But they averaged 5.2 yards per carry against the Dolphins. Granted, there was a 23-yard run by Julian Edelman.
I don't know what I did.
I think you looked at. I mean, the Dolphins averaged 3.2 yards per carry.
Oh, whoops.
You could have looked at that number. But
okay, I think I got my numbers mixed up.
They averaged 5.2 yards per carry against him with 3 rushing touchdowns. So I like the running backs, especially this week, and Josh Allen, because that fits Josh Allen's strengths. I think they're going to run all over the Dolphins. And the Dolphins looked like garbage last week.
Sorry, can I clarify very quickly?
Yeah.
I was wrong about the yards per carry, but I'm still worried about the Bills running backs.
Fair enough.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interject.
I think if somebody were to get I still like Zach Moss better than Singletary. So I think he finds the end zone again. That being said,
nervous about both.
Oh yeah. That being said, I have no faith in the Dolphins, and don't want to start anybody this week.
Agreed. Anything else on the Bills side?
The line, Austin. The line.
No, on the Bills.
Oh no, they haven't that game. Nope, that's it.
Okay. What do you got for the line? I'm thinking the Bills by probably at least a touchdown.
This might be a surprise to you, but the Bills are favored.
Yeah, what are we looking at?
5.5. I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah, Bills Mafia.
Because I think the Dolphins look just as, if not worse, just as bad, if not worse, than the Jets did. They beat the Jets by 10.
Circle the wagons.
Nobody does.
Next, we're going to move on to the 3 o'clock games. We have the Washington football team versus the Cardinals. You can go ahead and start on this one. I think this one's probably going to be pretty quick.
I like all the Cardinals players. And Washington, I'm just going to keep it very quickly. I don't like anybody on Washington. I think Kyler Murray is good. I think, why can't I think of his name? The running back, Kenyon Drake. I think he's going to be very good. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be very good. I don't like Christian Kirk this week again. And I want nothing to do with anybody on that Washington football team this week. Nobody. Maybe the second-year guy. Names are just eluding me today. The second-year guy. But other than him.
For which team?
For Washington.
McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin, thank you. Maybe him. But other than that, I want nothing to do with that team.
All right. Yeah, kind of the same for me on that start. I do think I have a note here. Avoid the running backs. I really want to see how the backfield shakes out. I don't think Barber is going to maintain the work. I think at some point they're going to give it to Gibson. But I'm just avoiding the situation. I didn't even put a waiver claim in for Peyton Barber, if we're being honest. I thought there were a lot better options. And
Absolutely not. I wouldn't take him on my team for free. The guys I drafted,
I thought were better. So
yeah, I wouldn't take him on my team for free.
I'm expecting McLaurin to bounce back a little bit, and I think that Logan Thomas is, and again, not to steal the phrase from Football Guys, but I think he's going to be a decent what-the-heck flex option and potential good play going forward.
Arizona, 6.5 favorite.
Well, I haven't said the Cardinals piece.
Oh.
Very quickly. I'm only starting Hopkins at wide receiver.
Okay.
I think it's a good game, another good game for Kyler Murray, and I expect Kenyon Drake to have a huge game.
Yeah.
It's going to be Cards by at least 10. Wait, that's huge.
That's Cardinals huge. By 6.5. I'm taking the Cardinals.
I'm taking the Cards.
I want nothing to do with the Washington football team.
All right, next we're going to move on to the Ravens-Texans. I deleted my notes on the Texans while we were doing the podcast, so I'm going to have to do those on the fly. As far as how the Ravens are concerned, I'm interested to see the Ingram-Dobbins split. It was very, I don't know. I'm just going to chalk up last week with the run game as they were ahead 1,000,000 points, so everything's looking weird.
That's what I was thinking,
and I'm not really taking away much from that. Ingram is usually good on the goal line, so I don't think that even, Dobbins getting that work is overly concerning. I mean, it is and it isn't at the same time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm expecting a good Ingram game. Texans gave up 4.8 yards per carry, and so I'm expecting them to take advantage of that, especially Lamar. But I think Brown and Andrews are great plays, and I'm still haven't picked him up, but I think Willie Snead might have found a decent place in this offense. Again, I think that they scored so many points, had so many yards the first game that might be a little misleading, so I'm not rushing to pick him up or anything. But I think he might be a good, again, quote-unquote, what the heck, flex option there. On the Texans side, David Johnson, I like him. If Cooks is better, maybe not so much this game, but I think going forward, Cooks is going to be a pretty big part of the offense. If Will Fuller stays hurt or healthy, he should be okay, but I'm expecting the Ravens just to eat the Texans alive here. I'm expecting a lot of sacks on Watson.
Yeah, I don't want Deshaun Watson this week. I think that the Ravens are going to absolutely massacre them, which has me worried about David Johnson because last week when he got the ball, he was very good. He used to get the ball because they're getting smoked. That being said, he's still worth a start, but I just think he's going to underperform just due to a lack of a workload. Will Fuller, I think, is going to have another big game this week, and this is coming from the world's biggest Will Fuller hater. So, because they're going to have to air the ball out because they're going to be down a ton.
He gets hurt.
Yeah, I like Miles Sanders and I like Willie Snead, and I think Mark Ingram's going to have a bounce back game this week too.
I think Snead is a sneaky DFS play.
Yeah, he looked good last week.
I expect them to be up.
The line, Baltimore by 7.
Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm taking that.
That seems like free money.
If we're Baltimore by 10, I take it.
Yeah, that seems really, I don't know.
Yeah. Moving on, Patriots Seahawks.
Patriots Seahawks.
You have any notes for that?
Working on those. So I actually think Michelle might have a decent game. The Patriots backfield is going to be very limited as long as Cam Newton's playing. So obviously probably the whole season.
Well, that and they give like Rex Burkhead, James White, Sony Michel. They give so many people work.
If you look at Burkhead's numbers, he's actually pretty good on a per carry basis.
No, he is.
But,
yeah,
over his career. But that backfield's kind of a mess. Cam Newton is essentially the RB1 there. So I'm trying to avoid the situation. But if I had to play one, obviously it's Sony Michel. I think Danny Amendola is going to have another great night. I'm interested to see if N'Keal Harry gets any better.
Julian Edelman?
Who'd I say?
Danny Amendola.
What the heck? Julian Edelman, excuse me. I was just going on autopilot there. I don't know what happened. So I expect Edelman to have another big game, get a lot of catches. And like we said, I'm interested to see if N'Keal Harry looks any better. But I don't really have anybody on that offense I'm excited about outside of them. As far as the Seahawks go, I like the run game. I expect Chris Carson to get a lot of work. Russ is obviously a great play, and this isn't news to anybody, but DK and Lockett both are good starts.
Yeah, I'm basically the same. I like Wilson. I think Carson's gonna be really good this game. Lockett and Metcalf. Regarding the Patriots, I think they're gonna come down. I think they're probably the most overrated team in the league.
Oh,
in the sense where they beat a horrible Dolphins team by 10, and everyone's acting like they're super good.
Yeah, people are really jumping on the Cam narrative.
Cam.
I mean, it's a good feel-good story for Week 1, but I mean, he didn't do it against
Cam will
anybody
be
good.
fine for the most part. I don't expect him to get 75 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns again. And Edelman, I think, will be fine. But other than that, I don't want much of the Patriots. The line for this one is Seattle by 3.5, and I'll take that one. I myself personally will put money on that one because I think Seattle will beat them or should beat them by at least 15 to 20.
Cam or Roethlisberger, who would you start?
It depends. If the surrounding cast around them sucked and I needed a lot of points, I'd take Cam. But if I had a decent surrounding cast, I'd take Roethlisberger.
Who do you think is going to score more points?
I think Roethlisberger will, but Cam has the potential to score a lot more.
Okay, higher ceiling.
Yeah.
What did you say the line for this game?
3.5.
For who?
Seattle.
Seahawks plus points.
Yeah, I take Seattle plus or minus 10.
The coaching is good though, so I don't want to discredit the Patriots, but I just think they're gonna. I still think Cam's a little rustier than people like to.
Wait, he threw the ball 15 times last week?
He wasn't very accurate. His receivers had to do a lot of adjusting, which Edelman's good enough to do.
Monday night?
Don't we have Chiefs Chargers still?
We skipped it. Sunday night.
Chiefs Chargers.
Chiefs Chargers.
Oh boy, I'm expecting a pretty big blowout here. Let's just keep this easy.
This is gonna be
Chiefs. I even think Sammy Watkins might have a good game.
This is gonna be a massacre.
I think Sammy Watkins could even have a good game here again. I hate to say it. Just start all your Chiefs. As far as the Chargers go, I think Eckler's going to be fine. I'm very nervous about Keenan Allen as long as Taylor's the QB there.
I'm nervous about every single Charger.
I am. Mike Williams looked really good, though.
I'm not betting on that.
See, I think I kind of do. I think Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are kind of low-end RB2 flex plays for me this week, but I do like both of them. Mike Williams I'd rather have in DFS over Keenan Allen, but I'm not overly. I mean, they're going to be behind the whole game, so they're probably going to have to pass.
I have a bold prediction.
Oh,
Austin Eckler will not score 10 fantasy points, or he will not exceed 10 fantasy points.
see, that's kind of as a guy. He got 19 touches last week just on the ground. So
They're,
I think
they're not going to be running. They're not going to be as nearly
but
as close of a game.
I'm
though.
just saying though that all it takes is you remember Austin Eckler from 2 years ago.
last year, but yeah,
No, 2 years ago. He was
Oh.
Mr. 6 touches and a 40-yard touchdown.
I don't like Eckler this week.
I'm just saying all he needs is but you understand that one touchdown would put him above 10. I would take I disagree. He will be over 10, but
Fair enough.
I mean that's what a bold prediction is.
I don't like him this week.
Chiefs have to be double digits, right?
I have everybody Chiefs who I like. I think Clyde Edwards is also going to have another fantastic follow-up game. That being said, the line isn't, to many people's surprise, in favor of the Chiefs for 9 points. And I'm taking the Chiefs
Taking the Chiefs.
because they beat the Texans by more than 9, I believe. And the Texans are significantly better.
This game,
the
and I
Chargers.
know that I'm somebody who never wins, but I just think this is like free money here.
Yeah.
But that's just me. As you were trying to get to, let's move on to the Monday Night
night.
Football. We have the Saints versus the Raiders. Would you like to start us out?
I think the Raiders are going to be deceivingly competitive in this game. I like Josh Jacobs still, even though I think they're going to lose. I still think he's going to be a fine play. I never heard an update. What's the update on Henry Ruggs?
I think he was questionable for this week. I'm not 100%. He's not like he didn't get really injured.
I didn't think so.
I don't think.
If Henry Ruggs is not hurt, I think he'll have a fine game. And I think even Derek Carr might have a good game. Moving on to the Saints. Obviously the running game, in particular Alvin Kamara. But even if Michael Thomas plays this week, I don't like it. Just because
I don't think he will.
I think if they do throw him out there, he's just going to be out there. So people go, oh, there's Michael Thomas. We need to watch him like a hawk. I think Jared Cook, a guy who I don't like, I still think he's going to have a decent game this week. That's fine. But I think Jared Cook will have a good week this week too. And even, you know what, Emmanuel Sanders, he might eat a little bit this week, especially with him being the number one guy.
Yeah, I actually think quite a few guys on the Saints are going to be pretty good this week. I'm interested to see how Traquan Smith does, kind of filling in that role. I know he doesn't really have much, many big games behind him, but I think he might. I wouldn't play him, but I think he might be an okay piece. Can maybe get in the end zone, maybe do something on a long play. I know Breeze doesn't throw long too much, but I do think Sanders can put together a good game. But I think it's going to be a heavy Kamara game if I had to guess.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be throwing a lot to him. That would be my guess on that. I think the Raiders are very overrated right now in terms of people giving them credit. I mean, they beat the Panthers, who I believe were the second or first worst defense last year, just, if you look at the metrics. So I don't think – I think that they're being very overrated for what they've done, if that makes any sense. I think the Saints' defense is a ton better. I'm expecting the Saints just to kind of roll them, even without Thomas. And I just don't think that – obviously, you're starting Josh Jacobs – but I don't even know. I guess if he doesn't play, maybe you'd play Hunter Renfrow as a flex. But I don't really know what you're going to be doing too much with the Raiders. So, which receivers did you like?
I like Henry Ruggs.
Okay, and you're assuming he plays, which he
Yeah,
probably
if he plays, yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust Nelson Aguilar at all.
No.
I'm not very excited about the Raiders this week. How about that? So, I think the Saints are going to roll them by over 6. What's the unless you had any last second things to add? Do we have a line on that one?
We do have the line.
Oh,
and it is New Orleans by 6 points.
Wow, look at me!
I'm taking the Raiders
out of 16 games. I guessed one correctly. Oh, you are?
Yeah.
I'm taking the Saints. I think the Saints. This is going to be pretty easy for them.
Suit yourself. Wink.
All right. So that's going to wrap up the podcast for today. I will post my updated rankings to the website hopefully either Thursday night or, well, I guess I'd probably need to do that before the game tomorrow. So I'll try to get them updated for tonight. We'll see what happens. But they will be up shortly. Stay tuned for all of our updated content. We are going to put out a couple podcasts that are not fantasy related on Friday. I believe just fun things to try to grow the channel a little more. try to get double-digit views.
And speaking of growing the channel, when you're on the channel, give us a like. It'll boost the algorithms to get us that much-needed exposure to the people. Even leave a nasty comment, but not too nasty where it'll get removed. But leave a nasty comment, or hey, if you like the show, even a nice comment.
And just very quickly, what is our website? And
well, I mean, you find all of our stuff on the Mecca, which is finishfirstmedia.com. That's finishfirst, FIRST.com, or on our channels, Suit Yourself Pod, which can be found on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, or if you're watching the video that you liked, it can also be on YouTube.
And we are going to, you might notice that we have a lot of old blogs on the website. We're going to try to see what we can do about getting some updated content on there. I do not like writing very much, and Brandon has been pretty busy.
I got super far in one, and then it was running backs I liked. And then I thought about it and looked in and heard reports from camp, and like Le'Veon Bell was one of them. Because at the point, I'm like, well, how could he get any worse? But then we get, like, I hear all the reports that he's terrible. I'm like, oh, shoot, well, I got to change that. So I'm in the process of changing it, and then I got really busy with school, and then...
It's just important to remember that we are two gentlemen who do not get paid for this, who have relatively busy outside lives. So it's hard to find the time to do
give the video a like then, to boost the ad revenue.
Okay. All right. Well, we've been going an hour and 11 minutes here, so
that short episode we talked about.
Yeah, so we will. Well, I mean, it's significantly shorter than the last couple.
Is it?
So we are going to be signing out. If you have any questions, please let us know. We'll do our best to answer them on air. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week and enjoy week 2. I know I can't wait personally.
I figuratively
brimming with excitement. All right. We'll see everybody later.